Hello world and welcome to Elevated Intuition. Today we are doing a reading on your next week. And this is a pick a card reading, so you get to pick the number, card, or object with your intuition, and I will be placing objects here in a moment. And then I have the timestamps down below in the description. You click on that, you go to your reading, and I use my intuition to read the cards for you. So a couple of things. On these weekly readings, I usually pull from 3 different decks. So I've got a tarot deck, this is an oracle deck, and then the final deck is an animal spirit deck. So make sure that you stick around to see what animal spirits are coming in to help you with the energy of your next week. For objects, for number 1, I've got palm stones today. This is a Septarian nodule palm stone for group number 1. For group number 2, the palm stone is Rubellite. So there we go for group number 2. And for group number 3, the palm stone here, this is Sardonyx. It's a little bit darker, so I just want to make sure that we get it in the light so you can see it, because it has a lot of interesting colors in there, even if they're darker. So if you're still not sure which group, pile, object is for you, I'm going to do a breathing exercise. I do this pretty much every video, so you are invited to do that with me. I'm just gonna take a moment to think about being grounded, to set the intention that I'm going to get the messages that I need to hear. So set that intention for yourself. I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes and take a deep breath in. And release. Release out any tension. Release out any anxiety. Just be here in the moment. Go ahead and take another deep breath in. And release. All right, go ahead and open your eyes. And wherever your eyes are drawn, that is the group for you. Thank you so much, and I will see you at your reading. Hello, group 1. So this is the Septarian nodule palm stone. I'm just going to set that back here and the 1 back here, and let's take a look at the cards, shall we, for your next week. So the first card that comes out is your hard work is paying off. New moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth sign, a very practical sign. It is about hard work. It is about kind of nose to the grindstone a little bit, being grounded and thinking about the future. So, but this is also a card talking about your job. Since it's an earth sign, not only your job, but physical things, your body, your where you live, your assets, very physical things. This card is really, though, meant to be about your job, but if you have goals around those other types of things, this is a great sign. It's time to put that into action. It's time to take that plan and put it into action. A new moon is a time for a new beginning, a new start, a fresh start. So in your job situation this week, if you have not been happy with your job, it's time to renegotiate things or time to start sending out some resumes. It's time to think about what you want for the next 12 months, where you want to be a year from now. And we're going to take that idea and we're going to put that into action. And, you know, set those goals, achievable goals, and do it, because Capricorn is a doer. We're not gonna sit here and think about it. We're going to get those goals and we're going to put them into action. And I love the Lovers here. Lovers is a card about attaining that next level. leveling up, moving up. Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, your job situation, like what you've been watering right now, it doesn't really seem like things are coming to fruition. You know, a watch pot never boils, but it's time to look at your job and is this really where you want to be? It could have been like the answer to your prayers in the past, but have things changed? Has the environment changed? Has your goals changed? Have you changed? Or have you gone into this and maybe what you thought it would be is not how it has turned out, and it's not meeting your emotional needs here, like in the King of Cups. I do feel like you need to keep your emotions in check a little bit. When we've got the Three of Swords and the King of Cups in reversed over here, emotions could be running wild. And I'm glad that we have this new moon in Capricorn to remind us just to ground ourselves, to breathe, to understand that our dreams are achievable, but we might need to take a different approach to them. Being you know, emotions are great for moving us someplace. They're great for telling us that something isn't right. It is time to look at that but be in a higher perspective about our emotions, to look at it with a degree of logic, to look at it as an observer. So be an observer of your emotions. Like, why do you feel this way? Why do you feel like you're not fulfilled? Why do you feel like it's breaking your heart to go to work every day, or to go, you know, your home situation, or whatever that is breaking your heart at the moment? You need to start asking some questions about it, because we're going to put something into action where we're going to change the situation and change it for the better. We're going to need to put some work into this, and it's not going to be easy, no, but you're going to level up. That's the end result of this, and that's what the Lovers is about. It is about leveling it up. And I love to see the Lovers, but I love to see the Lovers after the Three of Swords, because this is kind of talking about maybe your current situation or your recent past where you haven't been happy, or you haven't been fulfilled, where you maybe aren't even in control of your emotions, just because if you haven't been asking questions, or you've been ignoring it and you've been ignoring the situation, like things just escalate. They have a way of like building and getting bigger and making it more obvious that there's an issue. Okay, but once we deal with it, we can set things on the right path that we need to this kind of like enlightenment. I love the flamingos in this card because it can talk about balancing some things. Maybe your work situation at the moment is out of your control. You need to put some more energy into another area that can help you out. Or maybe it is out of control, but you don't have quite the skills yet maybe even the confidence yet to move towards what you really want. So it could be a time where you are kind of like looking at this objectively. Maybe you are sending out some resumes, but at the same time, you're going to put some thought into learning some new skills, because again, new moon in Capricorn, great time to think about those new skills, to think about those new things that you need, to bring them in and to help you. But overall, I feel like the Lovers is like the major energy in these cards, because it's the major arcana card. It's one of the trump cards. It is the card that is going to, I mean, it kind of shows you that glimpse of the future. It shows you what's possible once you get your emotions in check. And we're getting out of kind of like that victim mode. Like, yeah, it sucks where you are, or your job isn't great, or your boss picks on you, or it's not fair. All of those things, yes. But at the core of it, there's something, you know, we can't change others, and we can't control others, and we can barely control ourselves, honestly, most of the time. So we need to figure out how we can control the controllables and get that vision of the future that we want and put some work and effort into it. Now, the Seven of Pentacles over here just says that maybe you're watering the wrong place. And often I see the Seven of Pentacles, and, you know, it says that the grass is greener where you water it. It's not not necessarily always on the other side. But if you've been watering this grass, and be completely honest with yourself, have you been watering where you are? Or have you been looking out the window and wishing and hoping and dreaming of something else? You know, put some effort in to an area that you haven't been watering. You'll be surprised at what you get, rather than when you focus on yourself and focus on what you have rather than your lacks. Okay. And because I feel like there's a lot to build on here. I feel like there's a lot, and I feel like that because your emotions are maybe running wild. Your emotions are telling you, and listen to that. Listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition, your gut. Where does it tell you that you need to be? Is it telling you that you're smarter than your boss and they don't really know what they're doing? I would pretty much everybody's intuition is telling them that. Okay. Okay, there we go. Something flew out. I'm just gonna get this other card here, and then we'll grab that card and I'll show you. Perfect. So skunk spirit, look at that. Know your worth. And then we have dragonfly spirit. Whew, truth transcends illusion. Dragonflies are very lucky, and I love this card. They're also a sign sometimes that our guides are around. They're beautiful, and you know, I love the dragonfly and the skunk as well, because I feel like, you know, when you think of beautiful insects, you're gonna come up with a butterfly right away, but the dragonfly is so beautiful as well. I think it has its own beauty and uniqueness. But I also feel like that with the skunk, that it has its own beauty and uniqueness. And I kind of feel like, you know, you are a square peg trying to go into a round hole here, that you're trying to fit in someplace that you just don't really belong, or because you're trying to fit in, that they don't recognize your own beauty and uniqueness. And the truth transcends illusion. You need to step up and be yourself. It is better to be rejected for who you are than to be liked for who you pretend to be. So that's coming through. And I think you're pretending to be something that you're not, but I feel like that is actually a detriment to you. I feel like you're hiding your true self, your true power, and I feel like you can be so much more than where you are right now, and you're so much more than the sum of your parts. So maybe on paper you don't seem like, I'm just thinking of like a resume popped into my head here, and like on paper you don't feel like you're that impressive. Maybe you've only had a few jobs, or you've job hopped a little bit, but I feel like there's ways that could be true to you that will really speak to the right person and to the right opportunity for you. And then know your worth again, like the skunk energy. There's also something about putting up boundaries, and maybe in your work situation, and I'm just going to work situation because the Capricorn was talking about that, and we're just talking about this next week. I feel like maybe in your work situation, sometimes there's a way to be yourself, but then to like protect yourself as well. The skunk obviously puts up some boundaries. Like, it is not okay for you to dump all your job on me. And you might feel like this happens a lot with when you're brand new to a place where you don't really know what's going on, and then those coworkers who've been there for a while, like they're like, oh, here, do this or do this or do this, and then you find out you're doing their job. I just have a feeling like that might be what's coming in here. You can push back on that. Know your worth. You need, I know sometimes when we get into a new job, we're like eager to show people what we can do as well. So we'll gladly take on other people's jobs, but that just makes it that much more difficult for us. And then we see the coworker that we're covering for, like, they get all the accolades, and yeah, it's time to stand up for yourself and push those boundaries and let people know what your boundaries are. Let people know that you're not going to be pushed around. And then I feel like that, you know, enforcement of those boundaries, like you go and you tell them, like, this is what I'm worth. This is the jobs that I've been doing. This is what I've been covering. I know what I'm doing. I need to be recognized for that, right? Those are great conversations to have. The ultimate thing about enforcing those boundaries is then you brushing up that resume and moving on and into a place that appreciates you. And sometimes it's hard when we're in a situation where we're already have been very nice and taken over things to like then to start saying no. But I feel like it's time when we have the skunk spirit, especially if you're not being appreciated. And you can tell them that, like, hey, listen, I realize this is your job. I have no problem doing it, but I need some recognition for this. Most people are caught off guard by that because they're used to just taking advantage of others. But it's time for you to stop being taken advantage of. It's time for, because your emotions and your intuition is telling you that. And we're going to get a handle on that, and we're going to stand up straight in our confidence, and we're going to go out there confidently and be who we are. Be truthful. And I see like this truth transcends illusion card with our work situation, where like in the truth of it, like you're the workhorse, you're doing all the work, you're making it happen, and you're not getting credit for it. So be truthful in who you are and come with facts, and nobody can refute that. They can, but then they look stupid. I mentioned just briefly here, your hard work is paying off. So basically anything that you want to set your sights on, set your goal on in the realm of the physical. So yes, job over encompassing, but that can also be like your body goals or your housing goals, those types of things as well. You know, housing goals, for instance, is maybe you need to put some work into where you live. Maybe you are renting, but it's just like a few little things would just make it feel better for you, and that's worth doing. Or your body goals, it's time to, you know, really put some work into it, put some effort into it, be truthful with yourself, and do it for you and for the right reasons. So that's what I have for you, my lovely group number one. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, group 2. This is, let's see, I think I want 2 over here. Doesn't really matter. This is the Rubellite Palm Stone. I'm going to tuck it in back there. And the first card that comes out for you, we have Expect Powerful Change, New Moon Eclipse. So new moons are new beginnings, and usually they're in like a specific sign, so we can figure out what kind of sign, you know, what kind of new beginning we're talking about. But the eclipse, when we have a new moon eclipse, that just amplifies that energy, that makes it even stronger. So yeah, powerful change is on the way. Yes, 1,000 times yes, you're being pushed towards your life purpose this week, and this is an important turning point in your life. It did come up in group 1 where we had a new moon, so new beginnings, new things, fresh. This kind of goes along with the seasons, I feel, as well, because we're coming up here with the spring equinox at the time that I am uploading this video, even though my messages are timeless and they are valid for when you are hearing it, because we're putting that intention out there that we're hearing the messages that we need to hear. But if you want affirmation that you can achieve your dreams and get your desired outcome in this situation you're asking about, this is it. If you've been looking for change, asking for change, this is it. This is the card of beginning, and there are powerful energies at work for you. Be prepared, however. Even if we're asking for change, even if we're wanting change, even if we're dreaming for that change and praying for it, there can be turmoil with that change. And it can feel uncomfortable. I remember though when I was in college, and it was like, we had a saying like, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not learning. So this is new territory. So sometimes that can be scary too. Our ego doesn't like us to be in new territory. Our ego likes us to be on the same old, and that's great when we're in a great situation. But the ego doesn't judge that. The ego is just like, I want to keep you safe, and we've done this before, so it's safe. However, your mind and your emotions and everything else may be pushing you in a completely different direction than what your ego wants. So when we do have change, not only is there conflict in maybe the environment around us or the people around us, and also their egos, because I can tell you so many times, I tell the people who love me and support me and who are around me, but they want to keep me safe, and their egos get involved as well. So just understand that sometimes you're not only talking to them, you're talking to their ego. And even though they love you, they want you to be safe. And the safe road, though, doesn't always mean that there's change. But this week there's change, so just be careful of that. But it's leading you to a better place. So sometimes we have to have that forward. We have to have that forward vision and understanding. And when things are difficult, we have to remember that we are going, look at this, the world, into a new phase. We're going into a different place. Look at that Judgment in reverse. Interesting. So I feel like, yeah, look at all of these major arcana cards. We've got the Empress, the World, and Judgment here as major arcana cards. So I feel like the Judgment is here because as we're going through this change and transition, we're kind of like, I feel like there's one step forward, maybe two steps backwards sometimes. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of back and forth, a little bit of turmoil. It may not be as smooth as you feel it should be, and sometimes it's just like that, especially if it is a major change. But the major energy here, the Empress, the World, and Judgment. World is see, these two cards are a little bit in conflict because World is the end here, but Judgment usually comes right before the World, and Judgment talks about growth, and then we end our cycle and we begin a new cycle. So it can be a little traumatic here, or a little bit a little turmoil going on here with this change, this like back and forth. I feel like it's going to help you to remember the big picture, to remember where you want to be, to remember this too shall pass. Like, everything changes, everything passes. Every day we're experiencing change. So we need to just appreciate that this change is happening. Hang in there one more day, and eventually you'll get through this kind of like turmoil and get on the other side of it and really feel that beauty and abundance and that growth that you're looking for. Then I didn't talk about this card at all, the Eight of Pentacles that we have in reverse. I feel like sometimes we think that we can put in a ton of work and get the outcome that we want, and then sometimes we just kind of don't do anything and it just works out. And this is one of those times, okay? So a lot of times, like, we feel like we need to be doing something all the time, or we need to be pushing for something, or we need to be learning something, or we need to be It's happening, okay? You are moving. You're moving very, very quickly. You're moving mountains, really. But make sure that you take a moment of rest. Make sure that you understand, like, there's just forces beyond you. There's control the controllables that came up in group 1 as well. So I feel like this week you're not the only one experiencing change, or you're not the only one looking at the situation and wanting something different a year from now. in your case, it is coming, and it's going to come rather dramatically. I don't know about quickly. It might feel like, yay, here it is, and then, oh wait, you know, like this kind of like this back and forth a little bit, but just trust, just know, like when we have a major change like this, you know, there are some things that just need to get worked out. There is this saying that I absolutely love, and I heard it from some morning DJs, and I just keep repeating it because it is so appropriate a lot of times, and it is that doing nothing is often underrated. And I'm not, but like, cause like, look at these two cards. The Empress is just like, hey, whatever, I'm just gonna sit here and eat my pomegranates and bananas, and then have this idea of abundance, and just like live in bask in the sunshine, and live in my wealth, and then just radiate love and not worry about it. And then the Eight of Pentacles, like the Eight of Pentacles is a card about work. It's working hard and pushing and learning and doing, and we have it in reverse. So I just kind of feel like this thing is going to be working out for you, but you don't have to. Even you probably feel like you need to put a lot of effort into it, but I don't, make sure that effort is into self-care and self-worth, and make sure you're taking breaks and not getting too wrapped up into it. You might even want to change your change what you're looking at. Focus it someplace else. Like, okay, this looks super chaotic. I'm gonna focus on what I'm making for dinner. Or this looks super chaotic. I can control how my house looks. So I'm going to make my bed, or I'm going to do my laundry. I'm going to do those little things for me, rather than these big picture things. I can't get all worried about them. There's also a saying that comes from Mother Teresa, like, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And I feel like that's really appropriate with this Empress. She loves the people around her, and when you go out in the world and you're finding like a void of love, love who you can love, like project that love the people around you. There's not so that, most of us are really helpless to handle things that are going on halfway around the world, and we can put our love and positive energy out about that, but you being too wrapped up in your thoughts about it, or letting it ruin your day, that does nothing for them, and just really does a lot of harm for you. Let's talk about these other cards that come out. We've got the Wolf Spirit. Turn knowledge into wisdom. Interesting that we have that. I often see, because you also have the Owl Spirit here, you see clearly now. And the owl is often associated with wisdom. So I feel like there's a lot of... I feel like there is a lot of observation that needs to happen for you right now, and a lot of maybe... I'm hearing lone wolf. Even though wolves are pack animals, I just feel like there is a lot of self-care. I was even talking about self-care over here. Self-care, soul searching a little bit here. Remember when I said that if you're not uncomfortable, you're not learning? I feel like this is a huge learning experience for you. And I feel like your perspective, or, I see clearly now, is going to allow you to see the turmoil in a different way. See obstacles as opportunities. Use this as an area for growth. Really put positive energy into it, and push towards this wisdom. When we come into something, like we feel like it's the end, and then we kind of get pushed back a little bit, approach it from a different angle. Again, the whole idea of this is a learning opportunity, and this is when we're faced with this same energy next time, or these same situations next time, you'll move through it faster because you'll understand how you approached it this time. And if you are getting this kind of like back and forth energy I feel with the World and Judgment reversed. Because Judgment is a card about elevation. Judgment is a card about spiritual awakening. Judgment is a card about hearing kind of that voice of God. And your calling, like hearing your calling. I feel like after the situation, like you will be in a better position to, you know, really feel your calling here, because this is, and just because you feel like in other points of your life, like you were where you were supposed to be, or you were living out your calling, again, we change all the time, so you might be really shifting that, and so just embrace it, because it's here for you to learn. It's here for you to develop your wisdom a little bit and not be emotionally attached. And it's interesting too, because there's not any emotional cards here. There's not any things, because seems like a very kind of like you approaching it very practically, not getting too emotionally wrapped up in it, and just kind of like enjoying this ride, and just allowing, and just be like, you know what, this is a roller coaster, and I'm gonna sit here and enjoy this. Like, throw your hands up as you're going down and enjoy that, and understand that there's going to be you know, a peak here in a moment. So that's what I have for you, group 2. Again, this is just the next week too, so we'll have another reading in a week. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, group 3. We have Sardonyx here for you. I'm gonna put it in the back. It's gonna kind of be hard to see, but that's where it's gonna go. So for our cards, I was only going to pull one, but both of these came out, and I think that they're both important, so we're going to take them. We've got Balsamic Moon, a time for healing, and the end of a tough cycle approaches, full moon in Capricorn. So this is interesting. I feel like, because the other two groups were about a new beginning, and you know, in the cycle of life, as I'm uploading this video, we're looking at the spring equinox here, which is the beginning of spring, and which is new beginning for the planet, at least if you're in the northern hemisphere. But this also kind of talks about that, but you're not quite there yet, that you need to really, I don't know if you're like ready for this change, if that's the thing, or you've just been stuck in something for so long that it's kind of hard to make that change, but it's time to face some realities, because it's time for a change, and it's time for you to maybe face some hard truths, and move. Excuse me. Full moon in Capricorn would suggest that this would be a work situation. However, healing could be, you know, that you were really hurt in some way, and usually that is a romantic situation. Either way, it's you know, it's time to ask how hard you're willing to work for what you want. And because I kind of feel like what you want has been kind of been pushed to the wayside, or you've been in a situation for so long that you haven't even thought about what you wanted, or this is what you wanted and you set your sights on it a long time ago, and you need to really update that. A professional project may be ending. Admit you have been like overly hard-headed or hard-nosed, or haven't been looking at the situation, or your nose has been to the grindstone, and we need to really find a balance between your personal and professional lives. It's time to stop fearing the worst. And again, in a situation where we're talking about your work, you know, it could be really a time for a change. And when this card comes up, work issues may be about to come to a head when it comes to this card. If you are wondering if you should stay at a job or leave, this card suggests that you should probably leave. In a love question, this card may be calling you to face reality, and actually the time for healing is saying the same thing and about a love situation. You have to, you know, sometimes you hear about that looking through rose-colored glasses, and sometimes we just maybe project what we want so much on somebody that we are not looking at reality, or it was great and then we think we can get back there. It's just not great right now. So it is talking about you to really be honest with yourself about the situation and about the reality. And the great news is, though, with some work, with some goal setting, with some prioritization of yourself, and work in terms of healing. That's where the work is coming in. You need to make sure that you heal yourself, your situation, people who are involved, that we're asking for forgiveness, that we're giving for forgiveness, because that's, you know, where the other, where the other groups are moving forward. That is where, like, you're lacking here. And like, all those cards flipped out at once and they all relate to what we're talking about. We've got the Four of Cups reversed, we've got the Eight of Wands reversed, the Chariot, great, and the Hierophant reversed. So let's start off with the Four of Cups. I love the Four of Cups reversed. I think it's a better card in reverse. I still feel like this is, because Eight of Wands reverse would agree with this. I feel like this is a time for you to really work on your emotions and your emotional healing. And maybe that's self-care, maybe that's time for meditation, maybe that is taking a moment to look at your beliefs around love, your beliefs around your job, your beliefs around yourself. Four of Cups is a card, I usually call it the meh card. I think it's really depicted in this deck very beautifully. It is kind of like really kind of focused on the past. I feel like you're ready to move past that past. But you have to put some work in. The Eight of Wands is an energy of movement, but it's in reverse. So I feel like the movement, especially when we get the Chariot very next, the Chariot is ruled by Cancer, which is a sign about emotions. So there's a lot of emotions here, a lot of emotional attachment, and a lot of work that we need to do on our emotions and release of our emotions. The Chariot, even though it's moving in this deck, a lot of times it depicts a chariot and it's just standing still. And it means that, you know, we can have those movements in our emotions when really in moments of stillness, in moments of meditation, in moments of thought, in moments of journaling, in moments of that type of release. The Hierophant is interesting that it comes in here in reverse. Hierophant would talk about maybe, and this might be why we have some conflict here, or why you haven't been moving forward with what is right for you. The Hierophant would be kind of like societal expectations. And to give you an example, a societal expectation would be that you go to college right after high school, that you get a good paying job and you stay there forever, or, you know, any of those types of things that society tells you that you should do. And maybe you have been doing those things and it just doesn't feel right to you. Societal expectations would be, you know, that you are in a, like, the person that you're in a relationship with, on paper they're perfect for you, but and everybody, maybe your whole family loves them, but you're just not feeling it, you know? And that's like the Hierophant in reverse would suggest that there's something in this situation where you're fighting with society, or you're fighting with your old thoughts about it. And it's time to rethink those thoughts. It's time to rethink those those, you know, it's not a one size fits all thing. And even though these things are repeated, right? That we need a high school diploma, or that we need to get a college degree, or that we should go into finance, or we should be a doctor or a lawyer. Like, those things are repeated to people because there are people who've had success with it, but this isn't a one size fits all thing. And you are not a one size fits all person. You are your own person. So when you're looking at your cups over here and you're like, I tried this path and they said it should work, and I tried this path and it didn't work, and I tried this path and it didn't work, you need to turn around and find your own path after a moment of pause and thinking about it. Like, what is your own path? And then believing in yourself. Ooh. And reclaiming your power here with the Panther spirit, and then bring your ideas to life. Yeah, this is about you and your ideas, and not letting society guide you. Because, like, look at this chariot card. Like, she's super happy flying over the mountains in her chariot. She doesn't have her hands on the wheel. She's allowing the universe to carry her where she needs to go. We're not taking the same beaten path that everybody else has taken. You don't have to have the same road to success that everybody else has taken. And I love this chariot as well, is because I feel like once you find your path and you're on your own path and you've forgiven the past, and you have really kind of like put some work into this to discover where you want to go, like, you just fly over mountains. It's not a big deal. It's not as hard as people would make it out to be. It actually is much easier because you're being you. You are following your path. You are getting, you know, she's very excited about this, and it makes her happy. And when you are excited about something, you're so much more inclined to work on it. You're so much more inclined to take those actions towards it and to reclaim your power, like we have with this Panther spirit. And cats don't care about what anybody else thinks of them, like, at all. Not at all, not at all. So they're very individualistic. So I feel like that is a good message that's coming in here for you. And then we have the electric eel spirit as well. Bring your ideas to life. What are your ideas? Have your ideas been stifled as well by society? Because that can happen too. You might need to keep some things close to the vest, especially if you have some ideas that are a little bit out there. Because there are until you have the power to really say no to everybody else and not be influenced by them, you might just keep your ideas to yourself and really just show people your success. What is that saying where they, like, where when you have an idea, they'll say, why do you want to do that? And then after you prove that, you know, it to be successful, everybody's going to ask you how you did it. So just remember that. And you may not want to share what you're doing. Just prove to people, unless you have that personality where you like to prove people wrong, because that's very powerful as well. Ooh. I had that a little close to, that's just a little tea light, but ooh, that's not good. All right, so that's what I have for you, group 3. I hope that you have a fantastic week. I know that there's some challenges here for sure, but I feel like once you get past that, once you get past other people's expectations, once you get past maybe your own past expectations, I feel like it's going to be very freeing. I feel like it's going to be very open for you. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive others. You have to, forgive a job situation. And I know that's not easy, but moving forward, like, it is so worth it, and it is so valuable for you. So that's what I have for you, group 3. I hope that you have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you in the next reading.